to the first episode of the Pursuit of Passion podcast. My name is Ray.
My name is Irvin.
And wanted to welcome you guys again. Thank you for listening. So, a little bit about us and what we're trying to do here. We are having conversations with individuals who are passionate about certain things. And basically what we want to do is inspire our listeners to follow their passions, whatever that may be. And really look to their past and see, why certain things have shaped them to be who they are today. And before we go on any further, we did want to mention that in this podcast, we did say that this is episode 3. And the reason for that is because we actually recorded 2 previous episodes talking about our own stories, but things didn't go as planned. And so that's why this first episode, we are talking to Jonathan Maulino. So we don't want to confuse you guys, but that's why things are the way that they are.
Yeah. Specifically, also, we wanted this podcast to kind of be focused on the Asian story, also people of color in general, and their passions, because for me personally, and also for Ray, we growing up, we didn't really have that person of color to look up to. And now that we're in the workforce and, we have people above us that still don't look like us, we believe that this podcast could be something that maybe our kids listen to, or maybe some other people listen to, and realize that, we're the next generation of these executives, these leaders, these people who are passionate about what they do. Why don't you go ahead and talk about our first guest?
Yeah, so our first guest is named Jonathan Maulino, and he's actually one of my best friends. And I've known him for 13 years, so more than half of my life. And he's been through everything with me, the good, the bad. He's seen me in my relationships. I've seen him in his relationships. I've seen him grow a lot too, and I think, you guys will hear through this podcast, through this episode, how much he's grown. And a little bit about him. He is passionate about cinematography. And I remember in high school how he would shoot video projects. And it's really amazing to see, like I said, how much he's grown, and really going into the details of the obstacles he had to face, because he moved down to San Diego, he moved, and then eventually to LA. And so he left, his family here in the Bay Area. He left all of his friends, and that was really tough for him. But, he pushed through it, and he's been pretty successful. And luckily he's here in the Bay, so I'm super happy about that.
Yeah, for me, John isn't my best friend, but being that he is my brother's best friend, I did see him a lot growing up, and he was kind of like almost a big brother figure to me. He's always given me good advice about whether it be what school I want to go to. He gave me the courage to go to my first homecoming. He actually inspired me to start dancing when I was in middle school. And now that we're all grown up and we could have this platform to give him the space to talk about his story, it's really cool to see where he's at now and how much he's grown.
Yeah, so shout out to John again for being our first guest, because when Irvin and I were brainstorming about who we wanted to get on here, he was the first person that I thought about. And of course, he was super supportive and came on, and we had a great conversation. With that being said, we want to talk about the next couple guests that we have coming on.
Yeah, so our next guest is my homie, Sean Santos. We worked together on the Filipino graduation ceremony. He's really big in the Filipino scene in the Bay Area, and he's also big into photography. And you guys will hear him talk about his passion, his story. It's a really amazing story, and I can't wait for you guys to hear it.
Yeah, so our next guest after Sean is actually going to be Spicy, DJ Spicy, or some of you may know her as Angela. And so we're really excited to have her on and tell her story.
Yeah. We also wanted to shout out our social medias. So you could follow us on Instagram, on YouTube, and on Spotify. Our @ is The Pursuit of Passion Podcast. Pretty easy to find.
Yeah. And so on YouTube, I also did want to say, if you guys did want to see a visual, we're on YouTube. And unfortunately, when we were recording with John, the camera cut out because it does cut out after a certain amount of time. So, I decided to fill it up with some pictures of him and I and our friends through the years. So if you guys want to see some cringeworthy pictures of us, you can check it out on our YouTube. If you guys want to follow us on our personal accounts, my handle is HiRayRay, HiRaeraE.
My @ is Irvin Ferrer. It's @ EARVINFERRER.
So what else did we want to mention?
What we learned.
We also wanted to do every episode. We want to go into what we learned from our guests, or things we took away, right? And so for John, I think the biggest thing that I took away was how important it is to have a support system, no matter where you are, because as you guys will soon hear, he has a great relationship with his parents, and they have been supportive of his passion since he decided to go for it in college. And they supported him after graduation, and there were times where he was even doubting himself, but his parents were the ones to really egg him forward even when things were really tough. So I think if it wasn't for them, and of course his friends as well, giving him that support, he might have given up earlier on at least. I think that, that's really important.
Yeah, and for me, I really learned that John is not just a student of cinematography, but I think he's a student of life in general, because, John is not afraid. I learned that he's not afraid to dabble into uncharted territories for him. He's learning how to DJ, he's learning music theory, he's getting back into that scene. He just got a new job in the Bay Area, and he's always kind of been fearless in that way of learning new things, growing his knowledge in different ways.
Yeah, so before we get into the episode, I know you guys are probably going to want to hear about Irvin and I's story, right? Because I think that's important to hear about, what we're passionate about, as well as, all the reasons why we wanted to start this podcast. So those were actually the first couple episodes we shot. Unfortunately, things didn't go as planned. We do want to record those. We do want to plan it out more and have it more structured. So, keep your eye out for those. Those should be coming out pretty soon as well.
Yeah, and if you guys have any ideas or suggestions for guests or ways we could improve our podcast, because we're still learning a lot and we still don't really know what we're doing, but we're trying our best, because this idea kind of came into fruition not too long ago, maybe about a month ago, but we've had this passion for a while, and we kind of took the next step to actually make it a thing. So it's really exciting that we get to release our first one March 15th, which is tomorrow. Enjoy this first episode, Jonathan Maulino's story.
All right, what's up, guys? My name is Ray, joined by my co-host, and my brother Irvin, and our guest for this episode, Jonathan Maulino.
What's poppin', y'all? What's good?
John is one of my best friends. He's been one of my best friends since middle school. We've known each other for 12 years now, or something like that.
13, man.
13 years. And we've kept in touch all this time, and he's in the Bay now. He actually wasn't in the Bay for a while, but recently moved back.
Just came back home.
Yeah, and yeah, we just felt like he'd be a good guest for our podcast because he has a really interesting story, really good passion. But yeah, let's get started. I guess we can start from the very beginning, man. Where were you born and where did you grow up?
So I'm from San Francisco. I was born and raised in the city, Daly City to be exact. And then when first grade came around, there was like a shooting that happened at my house. So my parents were like, we gotta get out of the city. So we moved to sunny San Ramon, 925 reppin'. Yeah, and then I basically just grew up in the Bay Area my whole life. Yeah.
Nice.
When I first met you, it was actually, I remember seeing you play on the drums in band in middle school.
Oh yeah?
And then Ray was telling me that, there's this Filipino dude, he's like killing it on the drums. And then I saw you and man, you were like rocking out and shit.
Yeah.
So where, like talk about maybe like your music background and like creative background, like where that all started maybe.
Okay. Yeah. So from a young age, like I was like really into like music and stuff. I played band in like elementary school. Like started off with like a bunch of like instruments. I like the first one I did was like clarinet, and then I moved to the snare drum, and then snare drum. I switched over to like acoustic guitar, and then. Like every other Filipino, gotta play the ukulele,
Yeah.
And then yeah, when me and Ray were in middle school, we kept doing band, and then they had a drum set, so I was like, oh shit, like gotta step up like my snare drum to like a whole drum set. And yeah, man, just always been into music, like I feel like everybody has like that like within them, and just like whenever you discover it like for yourself, like you like feel that vibe. But music has always been like a big thing for me, like creativity wise, and like just like in like the arts, like I used to like c-walk.
Yeah, I remember
and
those videos.
That's kind of how like it all started for me, was like from c-walking. So me and our homegirl Annie Chung, shout outs to her.
Yeah.
We would always like get together, and we would go to like our elementary school or wherever, like a spot like Central Park or like any other spot, and like we would set up the camera, like play some good music, and like just like c-walking. For those of you that don't know what c-walking is, like it's like a dance that you do like with your feet, not related, not gang affiliated or anything, just all about that love and dance and all that. But yeah, like we got really into it, and like this was like when like the YouTube boom like started happening,
sure.
And so like people like started making a bunch of like home videos, posting them online, and so I was like, oh shit, like we should do that, and like turned out that there's like a huge like c-walking community, like online where you could like battle people like from all across anywhere, yeah, you'd cipher with them, and like. There'd be like communities where like you like vote and be like, oh yeah, he was better, or like oh like style points for him, like all that, and like it was really fun, man. Like so yeah, like I asked my parents like, oh like can you guys buy me like a camera? So they bought me this like little tiny like Canon like point and shoot type thing, and then yeah man, we would make videos. I'd make videos for like all my friends, for like myself, and like I'd like put it in like Sony Vegas like 7, like that's like the OG like editing system, yeah. And like, yeah, man, I think that's where video started for me. Actually, was from c-walking. We would go out, shoot the videos, and then post them online. And like, I think my love for video came from like watching the videos with my friends, and like they're like, oh shit, like I look dope, or like like they get super juiced off it and stuff. And, like that they weren't my best videos, but like that feeling of like satisfaction and like seeing like people like see themselves on video and be like, oh shit, like I'm online, like people can see me, like just that fact, like that was huge, because that was you can do that before like the internet,
Yeah, I remember this whole like c-walking phase. Like I wasn't personally like ever super into it. Like I definitely liked watching the videos, and like seeing you guys like really get into it, and like even the video editing and stuff with when c-walkin popped off, like it was like super like over edited, I remember.
Oh yeah.
It was like
like all those like corny ass effects, but like you gotta do it to fly.
Right,
you know?
right.
Yeah.
And Irvin was actually really into it
your
too.
video on, or your c-walkin video on Greenlight by John Legend.
Yes!
That's what got me into it.
dope. Yeah.
And then
No
I
way.
started practicing and stuff and doing like the V and the W and all that. And then I remember when you guys were in high school, we were dancing at Cal High, like on the stage together. I don't know if you remember that, but yeah, you were actually the one that got me into it. And then you would see like your name like pop under.
Yeah, your
like,
tag.
and, like,
Exactly.
all those like cool ass effects. I was like, man, like that's dope.
I didn't even know that. That's dope, man. That's what I mean. Just like the power of like video and like YouTube and the internet is like so crazy. How you can like influence people like that. Like, you know.
Yeah, it's crazy how like I feel like we really like you got really into like c-walkin when YouTube was like you said just started. And I think that was really important because YouTube was this whole new platform, you know, and it gave people the ability to really just like record and upload whatever the hell they wanted, you know. And so I feel like it was this really like creative era where people were just like creating stuff and putting it out there just for the fun of it. You know, there was no like, there were no ads, there was no making money out of YouTube. It was
No
just
influencers and none of that.
Yeah, it was just like putting stuff out there for the love of it, you know? And
Exactly.
and then getting like, you know, all the likes and stuff and people saying like, oh, this is dope was just like an extra thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was never about like the clout or like, you know, all that like it was just like for like the love of it. And like I think that's like why YouTube was so great starting off, was because like it created like all these communities. Like nowadays on YouTube you can search anything and like like more than likely there's a huge community of people that like post stuff up and you can like learn about it. Like it's a great resource.
Yeah. That's crazy that I didn't know that. I guess c-walkin was kind of like what started it all for you, huh? With like video.
Yeah.
That's dope. I didn't know that.
Yeah, like whenever people like always ask me like, oh, like how did you start and stuff, like I always start with the c-walkin thing and like you know like the like people like around here like, oh okay, like that's cool, and like all the older heads and stuff and people I met in LA when I was working down there like, what the fuck is c-walkin? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I guess what I want to ask you is before video, like what did you think you wanted to do?
Okay, so when I was a kid, you know, like big Filipino family, you know, and like I had a lot of older cousins who like, you know, were like getting into college, picking their majors. So like from like a young age, like our parents would always ask us like, oh, so like what does he want to do? Like what do you want to start focusing on? You know, like I know you're still too young to like choose like your major for college, but like you need to figure out like where you want to get to. And so I grew up with like my grandma, right? And she was like really religious and stuff. Like every morning we wake up, we pray the rosary together. Like, you know, go to church like just cause, like do confession on like a Wednesday type of stuff.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be a priest.
Oh.
I wanted to be a priest, yeah, growing up, and like my grandma was like in love with that idea. She was like, yeah, go do it. You're gonna be the priest of our family. Like I love that. And then my parents were just like, man, what the fuck? Like, where's the money?
What is that?
Yeah, like no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really passionate about it just because like I like love my grandma so much, and like growing up with her, I saw how important religion was, and like how important like religion, like being like a Catholic was for like our family. So I was like, oh yeah, like this is so important. I don't know when it was that I realized that priests don't make money. Like not that money's like that's what it's all about and stuff, you know. But like I like realized like that wasn't really like a career path that you had to like, I don't know, like go to college for and stuff like that. But yeah, like it wasn't until high school that we did video production together.
Hell yeah.
And then, you know, like it was still like a hobby for me and stuff. I was like, yeah, like I'm into video, but I never like took it seriously until we took that class and like, you know, we would push out videos, but a lot of the people in video production, especially in high school, just took it because they're like,
free credit.
It's easy.
free credit is easy. Take longer lunches and come back whenever, which we did do. We did do that, but like we were pretty serious about it. You know, like the videos we made, like we put a lot of heart into it. And our professor, do you remember his name? I don't remember his name. I really should, because...
I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Shout outs to 2011, 12 video production at Cal High, whoever that was. But he was the one that actually put me on. He pulled me aside and he was like, hey, like you could do a career in this.
Damn.
And like, yeah, like he actually set up like a meeting like with my parents, and then it was all like, hey, like, you know, like I think Jonathan has potential in this, you know, like he takes it really seriously. And I think this could be like a choice for him, like to pursue this like for further education. And then at first my parents were like, oh, like I don't know, you know, like is this what you want to do? And like after him like to pull me aside and like really say that, I was like, you know what, like I never really considered this, because like I was always thinking about like science or like biology and like kind of like taking like the safer like STEM routes.
Yeah.
But yeah, but for him to like set that all up and everything, like I was like really like, you know what, like, why would I choose something like to pursue for higher education if it's not something that I really want to do, you know, like,
right.
Like shouldn't you just do what you want to do? And like, you know, I feel like that's been like my mantra basically for like the way that like I approached like college and like learning and like how I see life is just like every day you should just do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how I came into video, went to college, San Diego State.
Yeah.
And then my emphasis was like in cinematography and storytelling. The program at San Diego was actually really good too, because it's very like hands-on. Whereas like I know like a lot of other like film programs are like more like conceptual, but it was a great foundation for me to move to LA and pursue like my career.
Yeah.
Maybe,
So, go ahead.
Maybe let's backtrack a little bit. And
Yeah.
Maybe applying to San Diego State, being in like a Filipino family, like what were you scared? Like were you scared of like the expectations, like what people would think of you? Like what was going through your mind, maybe?
Oh yeah, dude. I was very scared.
Yeah.
Very scared. Because obviously, you know, like I said earlier, like it's not always about money, but you still gotta. Your career is about being able to financially support yourself and your family.
Right.
And my sister was like fucking like top tier 4.0 student, like what's it called? Leader of like the lacrosse team, basketball team, you know, and like she like was like crushing it in college. Like she went to Santa Clara University and like studied like engineering and like, you know, got a job at Square straight off the top, like right out of college. So I was always just like, fuck man, like got a big ass shadow to live in.
Live up to it, yeah.
Exactly, right. So that was really scary for me, but like, you know, especially like coming from like a Filipino family, like your parents always want the best for you and like, you know, to like be able to support yourself. But it was crazy. They're actually very supportive of me like being in like the arts and you know, my dad always kind of questioned it, but my mom like always like supported me like no matter what. And like when I got to San Diego State, actually, so you're a pre-major for film, so you're not in the major, you're just like on track to be in there.
Yeah.
And so you had to submit a portfolio, a resume, get like a teacher recommendation. Like it was a whole process to actually get in the major and start taking the classes. I was denied twice.
Dang.
Denied twice, and so, you know, like I was like, oh yeah, man, I'm hot shit. Like my high school video production teacher told me like I'm great, and I get there and they're just like no.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you apply like right when you got there? Or?
No, so you do have to take some like prereq classes.
Okay.
And like it's one of them was hands-on, and then another one was like a film theory class. And so that's where you get like those teacher recs.
Okay.
And yeah, so like once you fulfill those things, by the time I was applying, it was my spring semester of my sophomore year, so ending my sophomore year when I was applying.
Oh.
And then got denied, and then junior year came around, first semester, I was like applied again, denied.
Damn.
And so I was already like halfway through college and I wasn't even in my major.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I was like calling my parents, and I was like I don't know what I should do, like, you know, like maybe this video thing isn't for me, you know, maybe I can't do this.
Yeah.
And like my parents were the ones that kept telling me to go for it, you know, like instead of like saying like, oh, like yeah, just just go to like something like stable, be a nurse or like something like that, right?
Right.
They were the ones that were like, you know what, like you made this decision because you felt the passion in this, and this is what you want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I'm not gonna lie, it's because of their support that I am where I am today. Yeah. You know, wow. like I feel like a lot of artists always feel, or like creatives in general always feel like, oh, like they have this like lone wolf mentality, you know, where it's like, I'm strong enough for myself, like I can do this by myself. And that's great motivation, you know, but you need other sources of motivation, I feel, to keep you going, you know. And yeah, like my parents were very supportive of it. Yeah, I was really blessed.
Damn, yeah, that's super cool. That I feel like, I mean, in terms of being like Asian American, I feel like for first and some second generation Asian Americans, you know, I feel like when it comes to the arts, it's not very common for, you know, for parents to be super supportive, because like you said, like they want us to be stable and you know, have the money. And so it's cool to hear that your parents were not only supportive but help push you to be even more successful at what you're doing. Yeah,
man, it was really rare to hear that, or like to have that. That's why like I know like I was like so blessed to like be allowed to pursue this and to have them like wholeheartedly like support me.
Yeah.
But I feel like the reason they supported me so much is because like, you know, my dad's like my grandpa was the one that got like our whole family over here, and like the reason for him doing that was so that we could like be able to do what we want to do, you know, to like live the life that we wanted to live, because like he had to do things and make sacrifices in his life so that his son, like my dad, you know, could live a better life. And so I feel like they wanted to like kind of like pass that torch on for me, not in terms of like getting us out of like, you know, like a poor situation, but more like being able to be open to like more opportunities versus like, you know, this is what you should do. So
yeah. So you know, you're in college, right? What were some I guess things that I don't know, you got involved in or helped shape you to I guess to be who you are today, aside from, you know, like aside from your passion?
Right. Yeah, man, my organizations that I joined in college definitely like made me the person that I am today, and like gave me like the lifelong friends that I have. Like I was a part of, since I had like older cousins, I always knew there was a Filipino org, right? Because like when I was in high school, I went to like my older cousins like FCNs or PCNs, and I was like, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Because like, you know, growing up, like I was like, oh yeah, like I'm Filipino, but like I didn't really know what that meant.
Hell yeah.
And so I joined Andres Bonifacio Samahan, which is the Filipino org for San Diego State, and they had a huge focus on like cultural. So like I learned a lot like about like what it means to be Filipino, and like I did like FCN like my freshman year, got super involved, like did like the Bahag dance and like the Tanikling and all that, and it was really fun, dude. Like lifelong friends like I made from that. Like I lived with only like the same people for my whole entire college career, and those are the friends I made in the Filipino organization. I also pledged when I was a freshman. Horrible idea. Do not do that. Don't do that as a freshman. At least your second semester.
Fill it out a little bit.
Yeah. I got jumped in basically. But yeah, it was an experience though that I do not regret. It was very cool. It was rough for sure, but pledging is one of those things where it's like you're never gonna be in that type of situation like ever again in your life. And it teaches you a lot about like perseverance. And like even though I didn't follow through with it, I did end up joining like another organization. I was in Alpha Kappa Psi.
Oh yeah,
that's right.
Hey brothers.
And then also in Alpha Phi Omega, right?
No, I'm DSP.
Oh, it's still my brother.
He's still.
It's all good. But yeah, like all these orgs, like, you know, like I met a lot of people. I was always busy. There's always like things going on, and like so Alpha Kappa Psi is a business fraternity, and you know, like I even though I pursued like a creative outlet, my parents were always like, oh, but also you should probably like learn business and stuff. So I took business classes, and like I didn't really like had like no interest in them, and like I like could see how like it'd be useful and stuff, but like I wasn't in it. Right. And so I was like, you know what, like maybe let me join like a business organization, just be like surrounded by like those like-minded people.
Yeah.
One of the best decisions I made in college.
Yeah.
Because like as I'm sure you know, like the people that like it brings you to, doesn't matter if it's AK-Psi, like DSP, whatever it is, like just being surrounded by like-minded individuals who are really striving, like it's like one of the best situations you can put yourself in.
Yeah.
You know, people always say like you're like the equivalent of like the 5 people you surround yourself with.
Right.
When you do something like that, you're surrounded by like hundreds, 50, like I don't know how big your organizations were, but like, and everybody's just trying to kill it, and everybody's like trying to support you. Like that's such a great environment to be in, especially like for like growing. You just get to learn a lot from like other people.
Hell yeah. Talking about AK-Psi, dude. So there was this one summer where like I was like super involved with the Filipino org for like 2 to 3 years, and then I took a break from it because I was like so exhausted from being so involved with it.
Yeah.
And then I remember I hung out with you in like San Diego or something.
Yeah.
And this was like right after you pledged AK-Psi. So then you told me about it, and then I was like, I remember seeing AK-Psi around SF State, and so that was actually the first time I thought about like joining AK-Psi.
Oh no!
Like after I talked to you.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah.
And then the following semester, I like talked to the people that were part of AK-Psi, and then I pledged, and then I joined. So that was like my second to last semester. So I wasn't part of AK-Psi for that long, but
right.
Dude, you were a huge part of like why I joined it. It was because I was like, man, you're right, man. Like I want to be surrounded by people who are like super motivated, and I wasn't a business major either, but I was like, man, these people, when they presented to me, when I was like rushing, I was like, dang, these guys are legit. They are serious, they're professional, and I want to be a part of that, you know? And so I totally get where you're coming from. You know, now that I've been a part of it too, like, man, that time in my life, even though it wasn't that long, it was like, man, I felt like I was being pushed to my limit when I was there.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was super dope. But yeah, you know, talking about the orgs, like, did you have opportunities to explore like your passion for video within those orgs?
Actually, yeah. That was probably like one of the things I didn't realize, like why I like enjoyed being a part of an organization so much, was because like, you know, they always needed like a historian, they always needed somebody to do videos, needed somebody to do photos, you know, like for like all the events that they had. And I was always the go-to guy, you know, like for Samahan, I was the historian, so like I'd always shoot all the videos, do like all the promos and ads. And then same thing for like AK-Psi, we had like a lot of like projects like when we were pledging, and like you could present your presentations in different ways and forms. And so like since I had like video, like we always flexed that, and like so my class like had like all like the fucking dopest videos, like we would make like fucking music videos and like like just like all this like multimedia shit, like just stepped stuff up, like, you know, like one step further. So I definitely got to like use like video as like a vehicle to like get my name like known out there. And then from that, like I was just known as like the video guy for like a lot of San Diego State, since I was like a part of like so many different orgs. People from different orgs would reach out to me and like ask me to like do videos for them. And like even further from that, after I graduated from San Diego State, like some of the people that I worked with when I was in college like hit me up for like legitimate jobs, like further down the road too. So yeah, like that was like a huge thing. If I wasn't a part of like those orgs and like met all those people, I would not have all the opportunities that I had in college and even further.
Right.
Yeah.
Networking, man.
It really is. Yeah, it really is. Yeah. But I think what the most important thing about that is like about like networking is like, because people always say like, oh, like network is your net worth, blah blah blah. Right. And like, you know, like I'm not bagging on like these like network events where you can go to and like meet people and like, you know, I'm not knocking that, but being in college and like treating people as like your friends, like that's the main foundation of like your network.
Right.
That's the big flip.
Right.
Of like creating like a strong network, you know, because you can network with people and like you can have the best skill set, best resume, best portfolio, and like people are like, okay, cool, like he's really great at what he does, but what really gets people to call you is like, you know, like, oh yeah, like I'd love to hang out with Ray. Like I love like spending time with him.
Yeah.
We can go get a coffee after. It's like not just business.
Right.
That was the biggest like difference, I think, for having that strong network.
Right, for sure, yeah. I agree. It's all about building that relationship.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, people will always choose a referral or someone that they know over a cold hire. You know, that's what I always tell when I go to these. Like now as an alumni in my fraternity, I'll always go back, and I'll always make sure that I tell the pledges or whoever's rushing that you gotta make sure you're known as like the accountable person, or like you build that trust now.
Yeah.
So that maybe later down the line they'll be like, oh, I remember you, like you did this. Like they'll always choose you over that other person.
100%.
Yeah. So now going out of, as you're about to graduate, like what were your plans like before graduation? Like what were you thinking of like after college?
So part of my reason for going to San Diego State was that it was close to LA. Obviously that's like the mecca for like video, creative, everything, right? LA is the place to be. So I thought in my head, like coming from San Francisco, like not really knowing the geography of California.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, I can go to San Diego State and then be able to like start working in LA like my last year. Didn't realize it was like 2 hours away. But I kind of did. So kind of going back to like having a strong network. My first job I got in LA was Pretty Little Liars. I worked on Pretty Little Liars as the first job going out to LA, and the reason I got it was because my friend worked for the baseball team, right? And apparently one of the kids on the baseball team, his mom was the director for Pretty Little Liars.
Whoa.
Crazy, right? Yeah. And so I pulled up to a game. I was like just bringing her like food because she couldn't she couldn't like get lunch while she was working. So I brought her food. So it was totally by chance. I pulled up there, and like she's a very social person. She was just talking to people in the stands. Like she just thought it was some mom, and realized like she's talking to the director of Pretty Little Liars. Yeah. And she's like, oh my god, like you have to meet my friend. Like he's about to graduate. He works in video. Like you got to meet him. And like so I came over. I brought her the food. She's like, you have to meet this lady. So she pulled the lady aside. And, like I talked to her, and like I was like just like in gym clothes, like looking hella musty. But like yeah, like I basically pitched myself to her. And she was like, yeah, like, I'll give you my contact information. I was like, okay, we'll see where this goes. So I sent her an email, and she followed up with me, and she's like, can you make it next week? And that's how I got my first job. So I always knew I wanted to go to LA. That was obviously a great place to start because I got there and then met like people that were like in the top unions, you know, in the industry, and like got all their names, all their numbers, and I was like, oh my god, like I'm fucking set. Cause I didn't know anybody in LA. I didn't have any connections, nobody that worked in the industry, no friends, no family. So like I was going there stone cold, nothing, like blind.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my god, this is great. I'm gonna get all these great names and numbers. Met everybody on the crew, you know, and they were like, oh yeah, like you're a youngin', I see the gleam in your eyes, blah blah. Here, take my number. And everybody was really nice. And they're like, let me know when you get to LA. So I moved out to LA. And like, you know, I had all these numbers, I called them all up, and then they're all like, all right, like, yeah, like I'm in LA now, like, can I get a job? And they're like, oh yeah, are you in the union? And I was like, union? Like, what's that? And they're like, oh, if you're not in the union, I can't get you on this job. And essentially, so in LA, you know, like there's union and non-union work, right? So non-union stuff is all like a bunch of like low budget, indie, like people just trying to like get it on their own. And union stuff is like everything from like your Disney, your Netflix, your Hulu, everything. All like the big name stuff. You have to be in the union. But to get into the union, you have to have 30 days on a union set, right? In 1 year. You have to get 30 days on a union set in 1 year. But to get on a union set, you have to be union. So tell me, boys, how do you do that? How do you do that? Exactly. Yeah. That's the correct answer. So that's basically what I did when I got to LA. I was like, oh shit, man. Like what?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I freelanced. So I didn't have any intent of like being like in a job or a company because like all the movies, all the TV shows you shoot, they're all freelancing. They all hire freelancers. So they're all like one-off jobs because you know like a TV show only runs for as long as the TV show goes or until a movie like finishes, you know?
Right.
So it's like it doesn't make sense for them to have like companies for that, right? So everybody freelances. So the first 4 months I got out there, like I realized the contacts I made at Pretty Little Liars weren't gonna work because like, you know, they were top of the game like industry people, so they aren't gonna hire me because I'm not part of the union.
Yeah.
So I had to start at Craigslist, and then Craigslist, you know, there was like Mandy.com, Staff Me Up. These are all like just like websites basically to get like work and like get connected.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it though, like, you know, I came out like with college, like with my senior thesis and like a DSLR. I was like, oh, I'm hot shit. I'm about to kill the game here in LA. And everyone's like, who the fuck are you, bro?
Right.
You know, so the first 4 months I did in LA, I didn't make a dime.
That's crazy.
Only free work for 4 months. I had enough savings from like working like 2 jobs in college, and like I knew like coming out there, like, you know, I have to be ready to do whatever because I knew I was gonna freelance. I wasn't gonna like get a job.
Right.
So I was lucky enough to have enough savings to get me through for those first 4 months, and I was just like, by like month 4, I was like, I'm ready to go fucking home. Like I like had my bags packed. Like I was like calling my mom like almost like every week, like it's not working out, it's not happening.
Yeah.
And like they were just like, no, like you're fucking there, like stay a little longer.
Yeah.
And like, you know, they was just telling me take it day by day, and like one of the free jobs I did was to help this guy. He was funding his own movie, directing it and acting in it. And it was a movie about rescue dogs, you know, like he was really into like rescue dogs, and like he rescues dogs, so like he's kind of big in that community, you know, so he kind of had like some sort of influence in like the rescue dog world, whatever. And so I helped him shoot this movie, and I started off as a PA, which is a production assistant, so bottom of the barrel, you know, picking up cords, you know,
Yeah.
moving whatever needs to be moved, getting coffee.
I've been
all
a
that.
PA before, yeah.
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 And there wasn't a lot of people on set. It was the director and the DP, or the director of photography, right? The cinematographer. And cinematographer and the director just like every day, like just butt heads, like every day. And like it would be like to the point where like they'd be yelling at each other, you know, like you know, like the people at work, you have like there's creative differences and stuff like that, but they were like ready to like stab each other.
Damn.
And so we were like almost at the end of the movie, and we had like 4 shoot days left, but the last 4 days were like the most pivotal parts of the movie.
Yeah.
And the cinematographer just walks off.
Shit.
And he's just like, I'm not taking it anymore, like F this, like I'm gone. So he leaves, right? And it was crazy because I actually had the same camera that this cinematographer was using. So I told the director, I was like, hey, like I have the same camera, like we can finish the shoot, I got this. And he was like,
Damn.
all right, yeah, sure. And like, you know, like I had built like a good enough relationship with him, and like he saw like my senior thesis and my work, which, you know, wasn't really a lot, but I built that relationship like I was talking about earlier. Like me and him were like on a friend level at that point.
Right.
Where he'd be like, yeah, man, like I trust you, like let's do it.
Right.
And I shot the last four days of the movie, and I like did a good job. Like he said, I killed it. And since he had so much pull in this community, we actually premiered that movie in the downtown Los Angeles theater. And we had a whole red carpet premiere, you know, like he invited like influencers and people that were famous in that community. I have no idea who they were. But it was pretty big, you know, everybody got like all snazzy, dressed up, red carpet premiere, blah, blah, all the photos and pictures.
Yeah.
So that was from a free job on Craigslist, right? So they premiered the movie, it went great. The next day I get an email from this producer saying that she's looking for a cinematographer. And I was like, what? That's crazy. Like, what? And so she says, she gives me her phone number and asks me to call her. So I call her, and she's like, hey, we're looking for cinematographers. I actually just saw your movie. I was at the premiere last night, and I saw that you were the cinematographer. Like, I loved your work. I have a job for you. And I was like, what the fuck? So, like, from this free job, you know, starting off as a PA on Craigslist, and then moving, and, like, just, like, being in the right place, right time, cinematographer, bumped up, shot the last 4 days. Because, like, the other cinematographer didn't even want his name on the project. So he was like, yeah, whatever, fuck this. Like, you can have it. Wow. And then, you know, so then my name was cinematographer on the movie. And then the producer that was there was a producer that just moved to LA from Turkey. And so what she wanted was for me to shoot a docuseries around the world for her.
Right.
So like the first episode that we were gonna shoot was in where was it? It was in Paraguay.
Yeah.
And so she's like, yeah, send me like your rates and your reels who you like to work with, and basically I'm just gonna give you the project or the budget, and then you just have to produce it and then fly out there and shoot it. What? And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm down. And so I got my buddy, my roommate, to be like my like camera assistant. And yeah, man, like until I got on the plane and started flying to Paraguay, I was like, this is my first fucking job and I'm traveling the world.
That's crazy.
It was crazy, yeah. But yeah, like that's what I mean. Like if I gave up those first 4 months when I was like not making the money, like any money at all.
Yeah.
And like, but like from those free jobs, like you never know how it's gonna connect you. It might not be like the person on the set, but like you don't know who's gonna watch it.
Right.
And turn into something else.
Yeah.
And so yeah, from Paraguay I shot episodes in Peru, I shot episodes in Indonesia, I went to Mexico, flew up to San Francisco, came back home with the episode here.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I got to travel the world, and that was the first time I got paid to do what I wanted to do.
Damn, that's crazy because I remember visiting you one time. Little backstory: one of my ex-girlfriends lived in LA, really close to John.
Super close.
Yeah, so whenever I visited her, I would visit him too. So there was a time where I was like seeing him like every other month or something.
Yeah.
But I remember I visited you one time and like I asked you about how you were doing and stuff, and you were like, "Man, there was a point where I was like living off of ramen and like spam."
Yeah.
And the bare essentials, and then. Yeah, and then it finally got to a point where you like kind of felt like stable and like you felt like you were doing okay.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's great. It's really dope story to hear about how like, man, I can only imagine, being out there by yourself for 4 months with like no friends, barely any connects.
Yep.
Like I can only imagine, but it's really dope to hear that. Like, at least you had the support, like you said, from your family, and I'm sure from friends, too.
Mm.
I'm sure that really helped with, like, persevering, dude.
Yeah, man, that was huge, because, like, not knowing anybody in LA and, like, just being able to talk to, like you guys and, like, my family back home, and, like, you guys are being, like not that far, but, like, it's different when you're, like, out in, like, a city on your own and you don't know anybody. It was hard. But yeah, just having that support from like my parents, like it definitely like was worth it. I'm glad that they did, because from there, like I've worked with like so many like bigger companies. Like I've shot for like Nike, for HP, Barbie, Patron. I worked with 88 Rising, did their first festival, did like
right.
their visuals for like their second festival. And that all happened like because of like the support that I had. Like that's what made the difference, and just like sticking to it.
Let's start talking about maybe some other interesting jobs. Like you said, you worked at Nike, Patron,
Mm-hmm.
like 88 Rising. Like, what were those moments like working?
So how 88 happened was crazy too. So at that point, I was already like a gaffer. Which is basically the chief lighting technician for like a film set. And then I had a good amount of stuff under my belt, and I wanted to go to EDC, right? And I was about to buy tickets, and I was telling my roommates like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to EDC, like, cause I was buying them like the week before, and like people like reselling them and stuff was usually cheaper. I was gonna buy it up front,
Yeah.
and so like I was looking at tickets and I was telling my roommates, oh yeah, I think I'm going to EDC, and so I told him, and I went to go get food. I remember I went to like this Hawaiian place, and then my buddy sends me a text, and he's all like, "Hey man, like, I just saw a job posting for this company that's looking for a PA to help them shoot EDC." And I was like, "Oh, what the fuck?" And it was posted like 12 hours ago, which like it was like on this like forum for like jobs, and I like if you don't reply within the first hour, you're not gonna get it, because there's so many people like going for these jobs.
Right.
And so I was like, all right, I'll see, so I shot the guy a text, sent him like my real resume, and he got back to me and was all like, yeah man, like are you available? And I was like, yeah, like I can do it. And then he's like, all right, cool, we already have everybody's like plane ticket booked, so you just have to drive out there, that's the only catch, but room and board, like we got you. And yeah, so I didn't buy the tickets, ended up going to EDC for free. And then I drove out there and didn't realize that the company that was shooting it was 88 Rising. And so, and it was all like just like their head, like producers and execs that were there. And so what it was Japan's first EDC that year. And so they had one of their DJs, they sent him to Las Vegas EDC, which is like their original EDC, right?
Right.
And so like basically we were shooting him experiencing EDC for the first time. And so I got to like help them like basically like shoot this whole project. And I was like on like the main stage with like Slander. I got to meet Jai Wolf and like all these like big name DJs, and like it was a good time. It was really fun. And even though I was a PA, I was the only PA on set, but they actually needed more people to like help shoot like different stages and stuff. And so I brought my camera, and they're like, "Oh my god, like that's actually a godsend. Like we need more cam ops." So I went from PA to cam op on this project. And like they said I did a great job, and like hanging out with them like for the whole weekend was really fun. Like they were really like chill people, very down to earth. And yeah, it's like I said, like I became friends with them first. It wasn't just about business. And so after that, they're all just like, yeah, man, like we're actually moving our office to LA, because like 88 Rising was based in New York. So I caught them right when they were moving to LA. Damn. And so since they were new there, they didn't really have like a big contact list. And so after EDC, they're like, yeah, man, like we'll stay in touch and all that. And I was like, oh yeah, we'll see. And that next week, the producer hit me up to shoot the music video for August 08's song. Oh, I forget what song it was. It's so bad. But yeah, it was for one of August 08's music videos. Oh, Spirals. And so yeah, they were like, yeah, like we need a gaffer. Like, can you do it? Like here's our budget. Like put together a lighting plan, and yeah, that's basically how my relationship with them started. And from there, like I like shot like their first festival. Like I met all the people on the team. Like for the first festival, I was Nikki's personal videographer. And yeah, it was really cool. Like met like a bunch of like dope ass people. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, bro. It was crazy, bro. Went to Rich Brian's like new house and all that. And yeah.
Damn, that's sick. So you talked a little bit about gaffing, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's obviously a lot of different jobs on a set, right? And so what got you ultimately into that, right? Because I'm sure you had a lot of different jobs before you really like decided you wanted to really get into that, right?
Yeah, totally. So coming to LA, my goal was to, like, since I studied cinematography, I wanted to be a cinematographer, which is basically like the second in charge on like a film set, you know, like there's the executive producers and stuff and people that like have all the money, but on the like shooting on production days, like it's the director, the cinematographer, and then beneath the cinematographer is the gaffer and the key grip, and then basically they're in charge of like the lighting, right? Because the cinematographer is in charge of like the camera.
Right.
And so when I got there, I was like, okay, great, like I'm a cinematographer, I'm gonna be a cinematographer, but like, you know, if you don't know directors, you don't know producers, like nobody's gonna want to hire you.
Right.
And so even though I wasn't like the cinematographer, I had such a great foundation in like lighting, which is actually like a lot of like math, a lot of like understanding of like the science of how light works, right? Which is a huge part of cinematography. It's camera and lighting. Right. And so everybody wants to be a cinematographer, but nobody wants to be a gaffer, because the gaffer doesn't really get as much like fame and accolades from that, you know, but you're playing like one of the most important roles is just like the vibe and the look of how it feels, right? And so I met a bunch of cinematographers, and like everybody wants to be the cinematographer, but not everybody wants to be the gaffer. And so since I met so many people that were pursuing cinematography, I would just be like, oh yeah, I'm a gaffer. And so from all the jobs they would get, that means I would get a job, versus fighting them for like trying to be the cinematographer.
Right.
So that's how I kind of fell into that role. But I love it because it's basically it's problem solving and puzzle making with light. And yeah, it's That's basically how it happened. And from there, like I loved it because it's less stress, less responsibility, but still you play such an important role with how the film or commercial or TV show looks.
Right. So when you got into gaffing, was that like pretty early on when you were in LA?
It was. I the people I moved in with eventually were people I graduated from San Diego State, and so one of them was a director, one of them was a cinematographer, and then I was a gaffer. So like perfect trio. So whatever jobs the director would get, he would find a cinematographer, or my roommate would be the cinematographer, and then I would be the gaffer.
Right.
And so we started off from there, just like smaller jobs. But as like your reel grows and like as like you get more projects under your belt, I was able to send them off to like those like job sites and all these like forums and communities, and I had a pretty decent reel. And so from there, that's where like I got like a bunch of jobs, like working with like Nike and like working with like Patron and like all these bigger companies.
Damn, sick.
Mm-hmm.
Sick. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I don't know.
Let's see. So at this point, you have a pretty decent reel,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so, I guess what made you start thinking about eventually moving back to the Bay? Because
Oh yeah.
you know, yeah, you're doing pretty well for yourself out there. You know, you're getting your experience. You're working for these, these big companies now,
Mm-hmm.
and so, I guess what really made you think about leaving all of that to come back to the Bay?
Yeah. That was a hard decision to make. Obviously, like in the beginning, like I was saying, like I wanted to like give up and just like move home, just so I could be around friends and family and like kind of like just be more comfortable, right? But yeah, well, like after 4 years in LA, like I finally felt comfortable there, like with like my job security and stuff. Like I was still freelancing, but I knew enough like producers that I was getting like a lot of jobs, and like my career was like going great. And like I talked about the union earlier, so I started getting union days from like people I met, and like they would bring me on, and like I was on track to join the unions where I could start working for like Pretty Little Liars again and all the Disneys and Netflix and Hulus, right?
Right.
And I was on that path, so I already had 13 days in my calendar year moving towards it. My career was great, but going back to my mantra, right? It was do what you want to do, right? And I was doing what I wanted to do, but I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy being in LA. Like I didn't have like close friends. Like my family was always far, and like I was missing birthdays and babies being born and all these like big events, and so I always felt like left out.
Right.
So moving back to the Bay was always an idea in my head, but it was always I want to give up, right? But this time, like my decision to do it wasn't giving up. It was more like I've had my LA experience. I've been trained working with like the best of the best in the industry. Like I have such like a great resume like underneath my name.
Yeah.
Like now I know I can go to anywhere in the world and be able to still pursue like my career. And still be happy, because then I'd be around like my friends. Like we were gone from each other for 8 years. Yeah, exactly, from college and then living in LA, and so coming home, I always knew I wanted to end up in the Bay Area. So it wasn't a giving up decision. It was more like I have a strong reel, I have a strong resume, strong background, and now I can do film anywhere.
Right.
And still be able to be surrounded like by like my friends and family.
Yeah.
And so coming home, I did give up like all like my contacts and stuff. I started over fresh, because even though like I had a bunch of friends and family here, I didn't know people that were working in the industry in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
So when I moved back, like I was doing like the freelancing thing, but like I had to start from the bottom again because I didn't like know people, and I knew that coming back, like being older, like 25 now, like 26, healthcare, fuck Trump and all that shit, right? I had to get a fucking job, right?
Yeah.
I got some benefits, and so that was the goal. That was the reason to come back. And so I applied to like full-time jobs, and like I knew people that worked at like Adobe and like Apple and like Avaya, all these big tech companies, and I was like basically a little bit selling out. But like also like like I was like, okay, like maybe I can find something that like I'm still like doing what I love and creating like narrative, like still really creative things versus like corporate, like sellout shit. And I came across this job. Next Gen America was hiring, and basically they're the largest super PAC in like the nation, and they wanted to create ad content, commercial content, organic content, basically to try and get young kids to be educated and at least like go out there and vote, you know. And like I was so huge behind that idea because I'm like, I get to still do what I love, still get to get a video, I get benefits, great pay, you know, working in like tech, all that. Yeah. But they still want to make like really creative content, really like shake up like how the younger generations like see politics and voting, because like, you know, like with what happened in 2016 and like, you know, everybody like there weren't enough like young kids like went out there to vote, like the Trumps and like all like the white supremacists and like all those people, like they won out because there aren't people going out there to vote because like they feel disconnected, like my voice doesn't make a difference. And so what Next Gen wants to do basically is to be able to educate and arm like the younger like 18 to 35 age group and be like, no, like your vote makes a difference. If you don't vote, we're gonna end up with Trump again. And like one of the slogans they have in Next Gen, which I really like, is climate change won't last a second term. Ooh. You know, so it's like I still get to do video and have a full-time job, but like I'm still like doing things that I really stand behind. And like one of the ads we just shot, it was really dope. You guys can check it out soon on Next Gen America's all their social content. But yeah, like it's hard to describe. It's just really cool. Like it's still a very creative work. You know, it's like more than just like corporate stuff. So like it was the best of both worlds. Moving back to the Bay Area. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So So I guess backtracking a little bit, I know when your first goal was to get into cinematography, right? And then you got into gaffing. Would you say your goal still is to focus on cinematography, and that was more just like a stepping stone, I guess?
Yeah. You know, like even though like my main role was being a gaffer in LA, I still did like DP, or like I was a cinematographer for like a couple of jobs. And it's fun, it's great, you know, you get the accolades and the fame, but I did fall in love with like lighting, man. Like gaffing for me, it's like it's more than just a job. Like it's literally do what I want to do. So like that's the reason why I like focus so much like on like gaffing, is because like it's really fun for me on set. Like you're moving like fucking 100-pound like lights and like all this shit, so like I'm on my feet, you know, like basically we show up on set like the day of, like sometimes I don't even like know what the location looks like, and they're just like, all right, figure it out. Damn. And like I love that shit's so much fun, you know. And that's why I love gaffing so much. But cinematography like will always be like a thing for me. Like there are so many departments and assets in film. Like there's art, which is like creating everything you see, like in like the coffee cups, the tables, you know. There's wardrobe, like picking out like what they're gonna look like. There's cinematography, so like all the camera. There's lighting, so like what I do. And I got to taste like every little part of like those departments, and it's like really fun because you get to try like different things. But like I know like my heart is in like gaffing. Damn. Yeah. So yeah, man, I love it. I get to do what I want to do. But like with Next Gen, like they did hire me as like as a cinematographer and an editor. And so it's still good that I have that like lighting background, but it was good that like I still like did editing and I still did cinematography because that's what they hired me as. Right. But like what I bring to the table for their team is like now like they've never had a gaffer before, so like I'm like changing the game like for them. Right. Like with that. So it's still good to have like those other skill sets, but yeah, man, gaffing has definitely taken me in like into like all the opportunities I had. Yeah. So if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be where I am.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, it's a pretty big difference going from like straight freelancing to now having like a full-time job, right? Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I remember when you were in LA, like every time I would visit, I would just like ask like how you're doing and stuff, and how every time you would talk about how you miss the Bay.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Man.
Right.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, man, like how. I mean, what do you miss about LA?
LA was actually really fun. The only gripes I had with LA was just that I didn't have any close friends and family. So like, there's always stuff going on in LA. Like, you can go to like a big ass rave on a Tuesday, and like it'd be popping. There'd be hella people there. So like that was great about LA. Like always like big events. You know, like I see celebrities all the time, and like it's an international city. So like there are always like big things happening. So that was the cool thing about LA. I just didn't really have like people to like really go out there and like experience it with. You know, like going out on your own is like great and it's fun. And you can make it your own experience. But it's better. I prefer to like share like those memories like with people. Yeah. So that was like the huge push for me. But what I miss about LA is I don't know, man. It was like a lot of like good times. Like I could just pull up to like a Beyond Wonderland like just cause like yeah man, let's go. Yeah. And like the resources in LA, like LA is like the mecca for like the creative and like entertainment world. Like everything is so saturated, so like being able to find like a huge studio where I can drive in like a fucking Land Rover onto a green screen. You can do like that in like 5 places in LA, or like being able to like rent like an Astera Titan MX-8 like they just dropped, you know, like there's going to be a bunch of like lighting rental houses that have that available. Right. Whereas when I came to like San Francisco, it's like not as big. Like there's no place for me to drive in my Land Rover like on a green screen in San Francisco. So like the resources in LA were really great, but I feel like I have such like a great foundation in like videography and lighting that like I'm able to be like more scrappy and like be able to like figure things out where like I don't have those resources as I did in LA.
Right. Do you miss the freelance type of work versus like full-time job?
Yes and no.
Yeah?
Yes and no. I mean, it was great. Freelancing is dope because you meet so many new people. Every day is a new day. Like, I don't show up to, like, the same office, see the same people, drink the same office coffee every day. Yeah. Where it was, like, you know, like, some days I'd pull up on set and, like, be like, oh my god, like, Sky Jackson is here. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's dope. Or, like the cool thing about freelancing is that, like, it's always new. Like, you never get bored, and, like, yeah, like that was really fun and exciting, but the scary part about it is like after I'd finished that job, you never know when the next paycheck's coming in. Like like it's always a constant like stress and like fatigue of like I have to find jobs, I have to like make rent, I have to be able to do this. Sure. And like, you know, like freelancing rates are great because like they account for that. So like I'd get paid like really big dollars just for like one day and be like, oh my god, I'm fucking rich. But like there'd be some weeks that I'm like, fuck, I haven't worked a fucking job, man. Like, and then that's the scary part about it. But you know, like on the opposite end of it, like after 4 years in LA, like I've met enough producers and worked with enough like agencies where like I was constantly getting work. So that wasn't an issue, but it's still just like scary, just not knowing, you know, because there'd be periods and times where like it would just slow down in LA and like nobody would get work, and so you just have to like prepare for that and like just like have money saved up. So the consistency and like the just like feeling secure, like having a full-time job is such a breath of fresh air, man.
Right.
So nice.
Right. Yeah.
So nice.
I wanted to ask you, do you think you'll ever go back to LA?
You know, a lot of people ask me that. I'm not in a rush.
Yeah.
Not in a rush, but yeah, like I get hit up for jobs all the time still. Like I've gone down there and like did like a couple one-off jobs where it'd be worth it. They pay for like my like flight and room and board. And I did that a lot when I first moved back to the Bay, just because all my contacts were still hitting me up and I had to like make money. Right. But it's close enough where I can do that, but far enough where I'm like, do I want to? Yeah. But having that option is still like really nice. And even though I have a full-time job here, I am still like freelancing and doing like little like one-off jobs. Like a couple weeks ago, I actually did a job for TFC. Oh yeah. So like that was pretty crazy. They have an HQ up here in Daly City. Yeah. So I got to work with them, met the team. So that's the cool part about it. Is like I can still do it. It's just the full-time job just keeps me secure and going. Yeah. 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 So the full-time job is it a typical like Monday through Friday type of thing, 9 to 5? It is. It's Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. What I was worried the most about it was it's like, fuck man, I gotta be in an office. Yeah. Like, you know, when like every day I'd be going to like movie ranches or like big film studios, like always on my feet. But I actually really like it. It's pretty nice, like, you know, coming into like something secure and like really like getting connected with the people in my office and like having that like familial like relationship. And like my team is like really dope, so it's a godsend. It was a blessing to end up with this one.
Yeah, for sure.
So now that we start to close things off a little bit, I wanted to ask you maybe, like for someone that might be listening that's an aspiring, like maybe like they were in the same situation as you, like maybe they're a gaffer or they're doing like one-off jobs, like what advice would you give them, or like what advice would you give yourself, you know, like back then?
Yeah. For people that are like starting off, you know, and like you don't really have like the contacts and like all that, like don't be better than any job. Like don't let your pride or ego like be like, oh, like I'm too good to work for free, or like, you know, like like I don't want to do this job, then I'm just gonna make coffee, you know. Like you got to start somewhere from the bottom. And it's like, even if you don't like have a great skill set, or even if you do have a great skill set, like that doesn't really matter. What matters is just being a good person, like, you know, like having a great attitude, like staying positive, and like just being a generally good human. Like that's how it starts, man. That's how I got into like where I am today, like having like all these like great jobs and like working with all these great people. It wasn't because like I was the best gaffer out there. I'm obviously not. It's more just like that, like I got along with these people, and that's how my career really took off, was like getting those really strong like foundations and relationships with those people. And then from there, like everything just manifested into where I am now, you know? So like don't give up, man, like, you know. And the most important part, like I said, like just do what you want to do. Don't be forcing yourself, but you have to like still be able to like take your pride down a notch to like, you know, you got to start somewhere, you know.
Right. Yeah. On the opposite end of that, where do you see yourself in like 10 years? Do you see yourself still in the Bay, like still doing what you're doing, still with the same company?
It's hard to say, man. I just got back to the Bay.
Yeah.
So I'm not in a rush to leave it. but like I said, like I feel like I have such a great like resume and like reel under my belt that like I can do it in any other city. So like whether that be Seattle or like, you know, New York, Chicago, or like across the ocean, like in Asia, like that would be dope too.
Yeah.
I think that's what's great about my career path right now, is I feel like I can take it into like a lot of places. Like I'm still like very pivotal where I'm at, but I wouldn't be mad staying in the Bay Area, man. Like it's nice too, because like I started like producing and like making music, and so like the thing about like being creative and like being like an artist and whatnot is like I never think that I'm a master at anything, like, you know, like I'm always like learning and like growing. And so like there's this thing called like the circle theory, right? So whenever you start off on like a new like anything, right? You have this much knowledge, and anything that's within the circle is how much knowledge you have, and everything that's outside of the circle is things you don't know. Right? So once you figure out that thing that you don't know, your circle gets bigger, right?
Right.
But as the inside of your circle gets bigger, the outside of the circle gets bigger too. And you realize you don't know more things. And it gets bigger, and so does the outside circle, and you realize, wow, I didn't know about that. And like it just grows and grows and grows.
Right.
And so where I hope to be 5 years from now is to have a big ass circle and still realize there are a bunch of things I still don't know. And so just keep growing, keep learning, whether that be in lighting, cinematography, music, like just grow as like a human, and like, you know, you can always make yourself better.
Hey, for sure. Have any other questions?
Cool. We usually like to do like a rapid, interesting questions, like set of questions. So
all right, hit me.
Favorite album, favorite artist.
Oh, okay. The first one that came to my head, Good Kid, Mad City, because that was my freshman year in college, bro. That was the anthem. Good Kid, Mad City. I still would bump that.
Really?
Yeah.
Show, damn.
That's a good album.
What are you, Irvin?
Favorite album? The Search of Everything by John Mayer.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Yeah. Damn.
What about favorite artist?
Oof. Favorite artist? Probably right now has got to be Mac Miller.
Oh.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah, Spotify hit me with that thing. I don't know if you guys got one of these.
Oh, like
but it's
top like 1%.
Yeah. I was like the top 2% of his fans. I was like, damn right, bro. Damn right, yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that Mac Miller talks about, like I feel like I can like really relate to.
Yeah.
you know, because like he was a young kid, like pursuing like what he wanted to do. Like he always talks about like do what you want to do, you know, and it's not about like the music, and you can really hear that in his music. That's why I think he's just fucking dope.
Damn.
What about favorite memory with Ray?
Ooh. Oh, bro, we used to do this thing in high school called pool running. Let me tell you.
On the tarps?
So for those of you who don't know what pool running is, so we had like an Olympic-sized pool like at our high school.
Yeah.
And like we would go in there.
We would sneak in. We would jump the fence.
And so like, you know, like it was a nice pool, so they cover it with like a tarp, so like leaves and dirty shit don't get in. But we had a different use for it. Basically, you like back up and like you like just run to the pool, and then if you're running fast enough, you can run on the tarp, but like there's water underneath, so it feels like you're like running on water. It's like the dopest feeling ever. That shit was so much fun.
Yeah, man. There was this summer where we went maybe like 3 or 4 times.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
We would just leave that place fucked up.
Yeah, we would sneak in there late at night, like it's perfectly like nice and laid out, but like once you run one lane, like the tarp gets pulled underwater and there's like water that gets over it.
Yeah.
And like I was actually one of the girls I used to date, she worked there, Gia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she worked there at the pool, and then she would know like when we were there that day, because she would have to go with her coworkers and fucking pull the tarp under the water, which, if you guys don't know, like that's all of the weight of the entire pool is holding that tarp down, so that's fucking hard.
Yeah.
It was fun though.
Man, good time, man. We got a lot of stories together, man.
Yeah, we do.
It's fun. It's fun.
I miss that shit. That's why I wanted to come back to the Bay Area so much. Is like, you know, like you could be anywhere in the world and like do what you want to do, but I feel like just like being around like friends and family, man, like you can't replace that.
Nothing like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. If you weren't to be doing what you're doing right now, what do you think you'd be doing?
Not a priest.
Not a priest.
Not a priest.
Not a priest.
Let me think. If I would be doing anything else right now, you know, I really was sad that I didn't go to school in the Bay Area. Like I wanted to go like SF State with you and like still like be around my friends and family.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I did end up staying in the Bay Area for college, I probably would have picked like a tech career.
Okay.
Just because like, you know, like that's like the safe thing to do, and
that's what it is.
cushy jobs, you know, and it's safe. Yeah, I'd probably be doing that, but I bet I would still be like making music, making videos, you know, like still like being creative and stuff. Yeah, it's crazy that I make money doing this shit.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Yeah.
Yeah, dope, dude. Any other questions there?
What about like inspirations?
Ooh.
Like who inspires you?
Ooh. Okay. Fuck. I know this person. I don't know their name. Yeah, I'm gonna look it up right quick. It's basically, so she does art installations in the Broad. Do you guys know what the Broad is?
In
the
LA.
Broad Museum. Yeah, in LA. And then you guys know this. Her installations, the Infinity Room, the mirror room.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Yayoi Kusama. Sorry, Yayoi. Shouts out to her. So she's crazy. I don't know if you guys know. So like you knew what I was talking about, right?
Uh-huh.
But so the thing about her is like she says she's an artist, and like when people say like, oh yeah, you're an artist, like what do? Do you like make music? Do you paint? Do you like you're a sculptor? Like do you like, you know, all that? She's like, yes. Like, what? So like she does all those things. She's a painter, she's a sculptor, she like creates like these like interactive like things, and like she focuses a lot about like light and like how that affects people. Like she's like trying to like one of the big researchers on like light theory or light healing, and like how like that can like affect people. Yeah, she's dope because I like her because she doesn't feel limited to be within one medium as an artist, and like that's what I like aspire to do. Like that's what like when you ask me like in 5 years what I want to be is like I want to keep growing like all of my circles. Like not just like in like film and video, but like that's why I started like creating music and like producing, like, you know, like being able to expand your way, like your creativity in other arts like helps your just like it's great because it expands your minds in like different ways. So like I want to like be an artist in like different forms of mediums.
Right. Well, before we end, I just want to ask, you were talking about, man, you keep talking about this circle, right? And it made me think about this book that I'm reading. Do you know who Simon Sinek is?
Nah.
He's like this optimist who's written a lot of books, right? And he has this famous TED Talk. He has a lot of famous TED Talks. One of them's like, you've probably seen it. It's like about like millennials and like how they think and like
Yeah.
And yeah, so he's written like a couple books, right? And one of the things he's like most famous for is the Golden Circle, right? And the Golden Circle is you start inwards and you work outwards of the circle, right? And the first thing in the circle is why, right? Why, and then the second circle is how, and then the last circle is what, right? And so what a lot of people do is they work from the outside in, right? So they talk about what they do, how they do, and why they do it, right?
Right.
But what people should do is talk about why they do what they do first, and then how, and then what, right? Wow. So then what I wanted to ask you is, like now we know what you do, but like, why do you do what you do?
That's dope. I like that Golden Circle thing. That's dope.
Yeah, you should look into that. Read his book.
That's pretty cool.
Start with why or find your why.
Yeah. I think it goes all the way back to the reason why I started, like with the c-walkin thing. Like that's still like my same why. It's like the seeing like the gratification of like how like people like feel like when they see themselves in a video, or even like Irvin said, like when he saw that c-walkin video, he was like, oh shit, like that's dope. I want to do this. Like that's my why, man. It's like you never know like the content that you're gonna put out, like how that's going to like affect people's lives, and like, you know, for like the better and like positive. Like that's why I'm so like juiced to like be a part of Next Gen, because it's like my why for them is like very like that's gonna change like the way like the rest of like our world goes. You know what I mean? Like getting people to like go out there and like vote. You know, if like they see like a video and they're like, oh shit, like yeah, like my voice does matter. Like I should be like getting out there.
Yeah.
You know, like. Yeah, like people always see video as like an auxiliary thing of like entertainment and like why it doesn't work, or like it doesn't really help people like directly. But like I don't know, I think that being inspired and like getting a sort of like feeling that you get from like watching like a video or a movie, you know, is actually huge. You know, it explains like the human experience and makes us all feel like more connected.
Yeah.
That's my why.
For sure, dude.
Last one before we end. Do you feel like right now you're happy, and do you feel like you're proud of yourself?
Oh, dude. If you ask me that like halfway through LA, I'd be like, nah, dog. Nah. But like now that I'm back home, like, you know, like I've had such great experiences like in my career, and like and coming back home was like a decision I made versus like a backtrack. Yeah, man, I'm fucking happy, dog. Like I'm like surrounded like with my like best friends. Like I get to like go and see my parents like any weekend I want. Like life's good, bro. Life's fucking good, man.
Hell yeah.
Because you know why? It's like I do what I want to do. That's all it comes back to.
That's the mantra.
That's the mantra, bro.
Hey, for sure. All right, man. Thank you for stopping by and sharing your story, dude.
Dude, thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, this was dope.
Hell yeah. All right.
That does it for episode 3.
Episode 3.
3.
Yes, sir.
Peace. Howdy.